True Life Church, this is video update number 2 regarding the coronavirus and what we are doing. Let me just make it clear. This is not just about activities. Are we doing this activity? Are we not doing that activity? There's a bigger question at stake here, and that is what are we going to do to be the church during this crazy time? How are we going to be the Church of Jesus Christ to each other and also to a hurting, scared world out there? That's the questions we've been wrestling with, and that's part of the reason why we have been cautious about just shut things down, shut things down, shut things down. Now, of course, we need to be careful, and we need to be serious about how serious this thing is. But on the other side, people in our church community are hurting. They're going through trials. They're going through pain. I've been praying for a lot of you guys, and for the most part, it has nothing to do with the coronavirus. You've been dealing with things. You've been dealing with trials, and it could be wrong for us just to say, shut down, isolate. You're on your own with those things until this whole coronavirus pandemic is over. So we've been trying to just navigate and walk that line in wisdom. That said, we have been doing as much data collection as probably any of y'all have been doing. We've been looking at infectious disease doctors and what they've been saying. We've been following, CDC reports. We've been doing as much research as we can. I reference people that I've been primarily consulting with about what True Life should be doing, and one of them is Bob Daber. And just so you all know, Bob Daber is not just the leader of our executive board. He's also a genetic scientist who runs a medical lab. He's connected to that community. He's aware of what's going on in that community. He's aware of how overloaded the healthcare system is. He's very much aware of that. We've got doctors in our community as well. So we've gotten good reports on what's going on. And we haven't been taking the decisions to keep going with things. We haven't been taking that lightly. Now, what are we doing? So our women's retreat is still on. It starts tonight, and it is still going all weekend. As one doctor in our community put it in a very reassuring way, it's a smaller group, 40 to 50 women, and it's mostly made up of women from Ocean County, where the virus hasn't really taken hold yet. And so, relatively speaking, pretty safe. And we're praying and we're believing God's going to do some work there in our women's hearts. Much needed. Because like I said, there's been a lot of pain that has been outside of this whole thing. Other stuff, marriage-wise, family-wise. So God's going to do a work there. Now, some women have had to pull back and say, I'm not going. And we totally respect that. Some women have been immunocompromised. They have compromised immune systems for other reasons. They maybe living with somebody who has a compromised immune system. And so we totally respect that and say, yes, absolutely, use wisdom there. In fact, I want to just bring up a point. Let's be kind to each other with this whole thing. We're all reading different things. We all have different health situations, and we live with different people, and so we're going to react differently. And let's not be too quick to label each other as stuck in fear or too reckless, right? Sometimes we think that where we draw the line is exactly where the line needs to be drawn, right? We're all on a spectrum. Super cautious perhaps over here, and not as cautious over here, and we tend to be tempted to label somebody who's more cautious than us as too cautious, and somebody who's less cautious as reckless. Let's not do that. Let's be kind to each other. Let's not judge each other through this whole thing. Now, regarding Sunday mornings, what are we doing there? We have been following our school district, keeping tabs on our school district. They had a meeting scheduled Monday to figure out what they're going to do, if they're going to implement a home-based education plan. So we've been sending our kids to school, and so we've been kind of saying, listen, we're going to still meet on Sunday morning. We're going to wait and see what the school district does. Yesterday, we made a decision that if the school shuts down, we're going to shut down Sunday morning. We're not going to try to find another building, especially in light of the whole 250-person limit. We're close to that, 220, 230 on a Sunday. So we just made a decision we're going to not do Sunday mornings. Now, this morning, we got an email from the school saying that they are canceling all outside activities, which means we cannot have service on Sunday morning. I repeat, we are not going to have service on Sunday morning. The school district made that decision for us. We are not going to look elsewhere. Instead, what we're going to do is launch an online live stream broadcast with a message about how we are going to be the church through this whole thing. It is going to be the start of an online, a more vibrant online live stream broadcast presence with messages, testimonies, and interviews for the next couple weeks, and who knows how long. But as long as we are not gathering on Sunday morning, we are going to be just leaning into the online deal. We have a few things to talk about on Sunday morning, like how are we going to step into and move towards the lepers that are among us. I mean, let's face it, those who have been infected with the coronavirus are in many ways a modern day leper. And what did Jesus do? When everybody else was saying, stay away, Jesus moved towards them. How can we as a church, in a very wise and smart way, move towards the lepers? What does it mean for us to point people in our family and in our friendship circles towards a God who is ultimately in control, even though everything else feels like it's out of control? What does that mean? What does that look like? Because let's face it, there's no guarantees in life, and we all know that. It's just that right now we feel the weight of that even more. Right now we're forced to face the reality of that. And usually we can numb ourselves to that reality. Right now we know there's no guarantees. So what does it mean to point each other towards the God who is ultimately in control? How do we still care for each other with the other needs and trials we're going through? What about the financial hardships that are going to come upon our people and our friends and our neighbors because they can't go to work or their businesses are shutting down? How do we come alongside them? How can we as a church support them financially and be an aid to them financially? Tune in on Sunday morning, 10:30 a.m. We're going to have our first Facebook Live broadcast talking about this, talking about how to deal with fear. What is fear? How do you know when you're acting in wisdom and when you're being driven by fear? Tune in Sunday, 10:30 a.m., Facebook Live. And in the meantime, be praying and be on the lookout and be asking the question, God, how can I represent you? How can I represent your character and your love and your peace in this time? Thanks, everybody.